Now, John Fox is a former British diplomat who spent 5 years at the British Embassy in Beijing. He now works for the European Council on Foreign Relations, and he joins us now live from London. John Fox, will Nancy Pelosi's comments on this matter be just a distracting noise in the greater diplomatic picture, or do you think they'll mark a significant event?
I think they're a significant event because, first of all, this is the first senior international politician to have met with the Dalai Lama since the protests. Also, it's quite significant that this is a senior American politician who is, of course, deviating from the US administration line. What she has called for is very much what the Chinese government does not want to see, an investigation and, in a sense, internal interference in Tibet.
But she doesn't really have that much sway at the moment in Washington. She's on what appears to be not a particularly official trip. Do you think that it's actually going to come to a point where the US State Department is going to take up that tone?
I don't think that's going to happen immediately. Nancy Pelosi, I think, has served a very useful role in calling for something which I think the administration at this stage feels it cannot call for. The administration, of course, has to tread a more nuanced line with the Chinese, which reflects the entirety of their relationship, whereas Ms. Pelosi has the freedom and certainly has the opportunity today to call for this investigation.
How comfortable, though, do you think the US these days is going to feel about criticizing China? China is holding a vast amount of US Treasury bonds and cash, and the trade relationship is now so very important.
That's right. I mean, it's quite interesting to see, of course, that the other times which Ms. Pelosi raises China in her capacity as Speaker of the House is usually about trade as well as human rights. And so this is a huge issue for the US. It's not an easy relationship. It's a very, very complex relationship, and in a sense it's probably the one which the US spends most time and most attention on at the moment. And so the administration has had to tread a very careful line in not overstepping the mark and in essentially not irritating a Chinese government with which it has a whole list of problems and issues it needs to resolve.
Well, within the last few minutes or so, we've had word from Beijing. They are upping their death toll now to 19 people and the injury toll to 623. Still very far short of other numbers we're hearing. From your diplomatic experience, describe what exactly is going on in Beijing in terms of how they are trying to portray this.
I think your report captured it very nicely in that they are trying to portray this, I think, very much as a lawless mob, in a sense. They're trying to portray it as...
Are they wrong?
As sort of violent. I think they are. I mean, they're not wrong in that certainly the acts that have been committed are acts of violence, and that the images we've seen, I mean, I don't think the images we've seen are doctored at all. I think they're taken entirely out of context. I mean, I think certainly what's happened in protests like this is that they very easily escalate out of control in China. I mean, China is a place where on a day-to-day basis, even the government itself admits they have 200 to 300 protests per day. And this is the largest protest we've seen since Tiananmen Square. So there is no doubt that there will have been serious injuries on a large scale and a number of deaths, and that some of these will certainly have been caused by the protesters. What, of course, we're not seeing at all is any of the coverage from the other perspective, which is which would be what we've certainly heard about in terms of the very serious measures that the security forces have had to take against the protesters.
John Fox in London, thank you.